Okay, so I just want to ask you about the time period that you grew up in and your experiences that you had. So, what year was it when you were 15? Can you remember?
15, let's see, I was 18 in 87, so 84.
Okay.
Oh, great year.
Okay.
Great year.
So where were you living?
I was in Topeka, Kansas.
Okay. And did you have a job?
At 15, yes, I had a couple jobs that year. My first job was at Swenson's Ice Cream as a food prep. Mm-hmm. And then I was a dishwasher at Pizza Hut.
Nice.
Fun, yeah.
If you had to pick one word to describe the 80s, what would it be and why?
Oh, gosh. I would just say music, because it was the best decade that I've lived for music. I mean, all kinds of music, pop, alternative.
Really? What was your favorite music of the time?
I liked, there were a lot of English bands that I liked. Probably my favorite during that time were the Smiths.
Okay.
And the Clash. I mean, I could go on, but great music.
And what about like concerts that you went to?
Oh my gosh.
Like what were the memorable ones?
Well, I went to Van Halen a couple times, B-52s a couple times. I went to the Echo and the Bunnymen, Bronski Beat, The Cure a couple times. I went to a lot of concerts in the 80s because Kansas City was just down the road. It was 60 minutes away. So we went to a ton of concerts. I have a stack about that thick of concert tickets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't have it here, but in Albuquerque, yeah.
TV shows. Was TV big?
Oh yeah, yeah. Gosh, what did we used to watch? I wasn't an avid TV watcher. I mean, we watched a lot of Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island, and this is I don't know if that's late 70s or early 80s, but those two, I think. Gosh, did I said Gilligan's Island, right? Yeah. Trying to think of other TV shows.
How do you think like MTV was?
Dynasty in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Were big, like.
Did you watch a lot of MTV?
Oh yeah. Back when it was music television. Yeah.
And then what about leisure activities? Like what would you do in your free time?
You don't want to know.
I do though. Another one of my questions is how did like drinking and drugs and partying, like how is that all influenced? Was it big?
Well, the funny thing is my sister was 2 years older than I was, and she got grandfathered into the drinking age because the drinking age changed to 21 before I turned 18. Oh. But my sister was 18 before it changed, so I did have a lot of access to alcohol. You're going to think bad of me, but I started consuming beer, lots of beer, at about 15. Yeah. We would, I went to kind of a rural school. It was kind of a mix. I mean, we had a really crazy mix of students. We had some rich city folk, but we also had the country bumpkins because it was a rural school. Mm-hmm. So we had to drive about 15 minutes to get to my high school, and it was kind of out in the middle of the country. So we had the rich kids in the Lake Sherwood area, we called it, and then the country people, and we'd like Friday nights, it would be out in a field, and there'd be kegs of beer, and we'd listen to loud music and just hang out. I mean, big bonfire, lots of cool music, and a lot of beer. Mm-hmm. Cheap beer too. It wasn't the good stuff. It was a lot of Bud Light and Busch and Old Mill Light. Ugh. Yeah. Ugh.
So what about like the clothing trends? How was that back in the day? What was your go-to outfit?
My go-to outfit was some faded Levi jeans, rolled up, cropped. We call it. You know what cropping is? Mm-hmm. and then probably like a bright colored Benetton sweater.
Really?
Yeah, kind of like the Cosby Show sweaters, you know.
Really?
Yeah, they'd be bad now, but yeah, I was into a lot of bright colors back then.
Nice.
And wavy hair, you know. I've had
Oh, did you have long hair?
I had Flock of Seagulls hair that was kind of in a big, we call it a tidal wave, where it would
Really?
go over to one side, shaved on one side of your head, and kind of in the back, but lots of hair
I feel
going
like
over.
that trend is kind of coming back.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it has been maybe for a year or two. Yeah.
And then, so shifting away from the social trends, what about political trends? Like, who was president at the time? Do you
Well, it
remember
was Ronald
anything?
Reagan.
Yeah.
And you know, I wasn't into politics. I knew that he was doing well, and I knew that he had a lot of great foreign policy, and he was. It wasn't something that you would worry about. I mean, there was a lot going on politically, but it seemed like old Ronnie had it handled, so we didn't have to really worry too much.
Yeah.
At least as a teen, I didn't really care. I didn't pay too much attention. I was too busy getting drunk.
What about historical trends? Was there any big history made that you can remember when you were growing up?
In the 80's, gosh, I don't, there probably was.
Yeah.
I just remember, you know, it's stupid, but I just remember 1984 being a very defining time in music. I mean, if you look back at what happened just in popular music and in rock music in 1984, it was a pretty monumental year.
Yeah.
Both from rock and alternative. But gosh, you know, the Berlin Wall came down. I don't even remember what year that was, but I remember, you know, Ronald Reagan announcing that. Gosh, yeah, I don't know much more.
Well, do you...
Pretty sad, huh?
Oh, no.
It's my teens.
Yeah, exactly. Did you find yourself following the trends of the decade, or were you kind of countering them? Like, how did you see yourself? Did you see yourself as like a rebel, or did you go along with the whole, you know?
That's a great question. And not to toot my own horn, but I did kind of set the trends. Because we had that mix of people. You know, I was the first one to have checkered Vans in my school. Yeah. And crazy enough, I would spend my summers or like a month in Albuquerque with my stepbrother. He was my same age, and we would go get these crazy haircuts. And I'd love to bring back cool clothes and stuff that were being set more on the West Coast, but trickling over to Albuquerque. And then I would bring them back to Kansas, and people would be like, "What in the world is Brent wearing?"
They like the checkered Vans. Can you remember anything else?
Well, I think I had like Benetton bright colored clothes before everybody else. Bandanas on your head, you know.
Really?
Yeah, around your head. Let's see, what else did... Gosh. You know, I think I cropped my jeans for the first time.
Are there any final thoughts, anything noteworthy that you'd like to share about the 80s?
Well, I mean, high school years, I think it defined me as a person. Well, gosh. You know, there were... we had our fair share of suicides in the town, and so, you know, with all the good fun stuff, there was also some sad times too. There was a tragic car accident, 2 people killed in my high school when I was, I don't know, I was probably 16, and I don't know, probably like 3 suicides within a few months. So it was, it was a good time, but it was also coming of age. High school defines you. It kind of makes you who you are. And I still love to look back and or listen to the music, and it just, kind of like a smell evokes a memory. Music does that for me, so I like to relive those years with good alternative music of the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much
Sure.
for your time and
Yeah.
sharing about the 80s.
Sure.